Let's see what we got.
Horizon Zero Dawn? More like Horizon 100 Yawns. More like Horizon Zero New Ideas. Uh-oh. Horizon Forbidden West is a game that I forbid you to buy. Not because it's a horrible game, but because this type of game needs to die off now. It's time for game developers to make a new video game. Even though I never beat the original Horizon game, playing Forbidden West felt like returning to a game I've already beaten 50 times. I beat this game when it was called Assassin's Creed. I beat this game when it was called Just Cause. I beat this game when it was Infamous. I beat this game when it was called Batman Arkham City, Saints Row, Far Cry, Borderlands, Crackdown, Cyberpunk, X3D. I mean, just talking this year alone, I already played the new Spider-Man and Dying Light 2 and the new Pokemon. I've already played 4 open world games and we're not even 2 months into this year. Come on now, game developers, you gotta make some new kinds of games out here. I guess the thing that sets Horizon apart is that you fight big robot animals. The robo fights are the highlight of the game, but because it's open world, that element is often minimized in favor of talking to NPCs, smelling stuff with your Witcher sense, clearing out enemy camps, gathering herbs, crafting, looting boxes. There is so much looting in this game, but you can't just swipe stuff while running like in Zelda or Monster Hunter. Your character has to come to a complete halt just to grab some berries. It's a minor gripe, but when you're looting hundreds of items, that minor gripe turns into a big pain in the ass. That's the thing with these open world games. There's so many games just like this for me to compare you against that I end up going, well, this mechanic was done better in this game, and this game did this better. I feel like a teacher grading papers, you know what I mean? The race of man was gifted 10 PS5s to govern the 10 kingdoms of the world. I was one of those kings that got the thing, and let me tell you, this graphics is the best graphics in the entire world. But my immersion was slightly broken when characters started to pop in and out of reality in the background.
Good to see you.
Oh, this old one guy sounds like trouble.
And then this person over here is just a flying head with feet.
Turn back, Outlander.
They also brought in the hair physics from WWF. Watch how crazy her hair goes when she sits down.
Aloy?
I think for
Could
me,
be
though,
windy.
what really kills this game off is the dialogue.
Ba-boom!
There is just way too much of it.
At least I say something of substance every once in a while.
Well, maybe people will enjoy that.
What was that? I just fell asleep while you were talking.
No, you didn't. You didn't fall asleep. You're still awake. She's lying. Everybody, she's lying.
Why is she here?
I live here too, lugnut.
Why were people laughing? Was that a joke? I just got done playing Pokemon, which had the exact same problem, so I was already beyond my limit with this shit. The story and characters are very generic, and then when they're finally done talking, the game prompts you to start asking them a bunch of questions. What fucking sicko is actually going to hit the more dialogue button when it takes characters 20 minutes just to shut the fuck up in the first place? Dying Light 2 had the same exact system where you have all these...
Can I pause? It feels like this type of game is not for him. Because I played the first one. I haven't played this one. But, like, I played it off stream, quietly, on my couch. Ari watched a little bit, and it was kind of fun. It was like playing a movie, you know? Like, they had a lot of dialogue, but I liked the characters. And, so, I don't know. Like, I think all his first criticism sounds good, but I have no problem with a game that has, like, a lot of dialogue and choices. Like, KOTOR's like that, and it's like one of my favorite games of all time.
Options to ask questions, but only one of them actually progresses the game. Remember in Mass Effect where you could choose like the good or evil dialogue? In this game you choose less or more questions. If you loved Ghost of Tsushima, you'll probably love this too. It's 100 times more polished than shit-ass Days Gone, 50 times more polished than Assassin's Creed. It's a market-tested, risk-adverse product that most people will enjoy and only a few will truly love or despise. For me though, Horizon Zero Dawn will forever be known as that open-world game that came out 3 days before Breath of the Wild, and now Horizon Forbidden West was that open world game that came out a couple days before Elden Ring. See ya.
Damn. Harsh but true. Harsh but true. I mean, coming out right before Elden Ring definitely fucking boomed him. Actually boomed him and fucking coomed him. You never said it was a bad game? He pretty much did, dude. He pretty much said, worthless, don't buy. Actually, openly said, don't buy it. I am still, I mean, like, I don't have a PS5, so not on the table right now, but I can get it for PC. It's a game I want to play on the couch, though, because Ari likes watching it. I like the dialogue. I'd never play it on stream because it's really slow. But it was fun. Like I felt exploring the world was cool. I like the first one a lot. I would recommend it highly. So I don't know. Maybe the second one is bad, but I doubt it. It's PS5 only? Then I can't play it now. I'll wait. Mithy Moo speed ran the story so we could play Elden Ring at launch. That just seems so... Like, if you're going to play Horizon Forbidden West and rush through it so you could check the box, what's the point? Just don't play it. It's not... You're not required by law. Anyway, I'm not going to play it for a long time, though, because I love Elden Ring, and they picked a bad day to release. All right, let's get some more videos. Let's get some more. Let's get a video. Get smarter in the Discord. Let's see what we got. How about this guy that transformed a Hot Wheels PC into a modern gaming beast? Or why everywhere in the US is starting to look the same. That's interesting. Or the complete history of Lightning McQueen's racing career. Okay, we're obviously not going to watch that one. But since I even said it and laughed at it, everyone wants to watch it. Everyone wants to watch it. And now no matter what I click, you guys are going to constantly demand Lightning McQueen and say ka-chow until I do it. So the mere fact that I read it out loud has already sealed my fate. No matter what I do, since I read it out loud, means that I have to watch this stupid fucking... Okay. Hey, let's watch this. This looks fun.
Lightning McQueen, also known by his original name Montgomery, or Monty for short, is a one-of-a-kind hand-built stock car. His top speed is 198 miles per hour.
No,
with a 0 to
198.
60 of 4.0 seconds. His engine is a 5.8-liter V8 with a horsepower of 750. Lightning McQueen started his racing career as a student at the Fast Track Race Academy. He befriended a fellow student named Carl, and they trained and strategized together during their time at the academy.
This is psychotic, dude. This is like Winnie the Pooh actually went to bear school in 1863. He first tasted honey. It's like, I don't fucking care. I watched the movies.
Academy, forming a close bond. They later attended the final race of the semester to compete for the 5 available slots for sponsorship. Carl offered to tighten McQueen's lug nuts, claiming they were loose, but McQueen didn't know that Carl had actually loosened them. This resulted in McQueen's tire coming loose in the middle of his race against
Carl, what the
he was
fuck?
forced to withdraw. Carl won a sponsorship and graduated soon after. McQueen was wary of working with others from then on and became a self-proclaimed one-man show. Lightning continued his studies, but he kept to himself and didn't make any friends. At the Academy's monthly...
What the fuck is he studying
Lightning
in these
continued
books?
his study.
What is he studying in these books? He's literally a car. A car racing is the same thing. It's like Usain Bolt reading 14 books on running. You just practice running.
But he kept to himself and didn't make any friends. At the Academy's monthly 25-lap sprint, McQueen broke the school record, and his fellow students nicknamed him Lightning, due to the sheer speed he'd shown he was capable of. The nickname would stick with him for the rest of his life. McQueen graduated at the top of his class and was accepted into the school team, although he wouldn't be given a sponsor yet. He won his first race by 2 laps and caught the eye of a talent scout named Harv, who offered him a sponsorship with a deodorant company called Smell Swell, and McQueen accepted the offer. The company had a tight budget and a transporter to match, and McQueen had to stay up late into the night to prevent his transporter, named Snyder, from getting lost on their way to events, as Snyder had a terrible sense of direction. As a result, McQueen was constantly sleep-deprived, and his performance deteriorated. At a Smell Swell publicity event, a red truck named Mac visited him. He was the only one willing to take a picture with him. Not long after that, McQueen was fired in favor of another young rookie named Sammy Smelter. Mac had overheard the conversation McQueen had had with his sponsor and approached McQueen, offering him a sponsorship with his bosses Rusty and Dusty, the owners of the bumper ointment company Rusty's. Although he was initially hesitant due to the fact that the product sponsoring him was for rusty cars, which he had a distaste for.
That's why Tom Brady retired. Tom Brady watched Cars 3 and and he threw his last football, dude. That's what did it. He watched Cars 2 and won fucking 3 more Super Bowls, and then he watched Cars 3 and quit. All right. Let's see what's next. Do you use Alanol? No, I don't. Isn't it weird? Wouldn't oil be like food for a car? Like, I don't know. The equivalent is different. I am not going to play the Chick Hicks one. I'm actually not. We have to move on. You know what? We'll go to it at the end. As a finale, we'll close with the Chick Hicks. Okay, let's pick a new one, though. Let's pick a new one. Australia's most destructive every Atrioc half from an entire stream. The game that won't let you see all of it. What is this? Is this 12 minutes? Interesting. That's a maybe. Sony's car could actually be good. Sony is working on a car. The player that changed Geometry Dash forever. That could be interesting.
This is the story of how one player fundamentally changed how people play Geometry Dash forever. The player in question was praised as the best creator in the community, and then he suddenly just vanished without a trace. The only thing he left behind was an account that was mysteriously operated by someone else. It's been years since then, and players today never really found out what actually happened. Where did he go? This video is a personal appreciation letter to this creator. This is the story of FunnyGame.
Imagine like the Mario Kart video and it's by FunnyGame. There's a decent chance he made this. Or it's skill.
Starting as a mobile game, Geometry Dash quickly rose to be one of the biggest platformers ever. Sharing a lot of gameplay elements with the internet classic The Impossible Game, it quickly dominated the app stores and rose to massive popularity. The game works in a very simple way. You have to reach the end of the level without dying. For stupid people, you see a spike, you click, and therefore you make the tiny square jump. Pretty easy, right? Well, at the start, maybe. The game comes with 21 levels, which all have different songs, different difficulties, and most importantly, different game modes. This little cube is only 1 out of 7 different game modes you swap in and out of by going through these differently colored portals. And this can get very crazy very quickly. Every once in a blue moon, you mean every once in a blue moon, the game developer Robespierre releases a new update, adding a new game mode and a new main level to beat. But how on earth is such a simple game, with the last update being 5 years ago, still alive and kicking 9 years later?
Must be fun.
Well, for one reason only, what they can come up with. This is why level editors in games are always such amazing showcases of the human imagination, given only a base set of tools. In the span of 9 years, we went from levels looking like a simple Impossible Game ripoff to amazing expressions of art and creativity. But very early on, when levels still looked like this instead of this, one creator stood out from the rest. His name was FunnyGame. To fully show off how special this player was, we need to go back years and years. Custom levels back then all kinda looked the same. Players only had a very limited toolset to work with. Simple, boring blocks, and only a few gameplay mechanics to play with. They couldn't even use more than one color at the same time. How did people... This naturally led to a lot of levels looking very similar. They didn't have a lot of options to stand out from another. However, FunnyGame was one of the first creators to really stray away from the normal default style of Geometry Dash levels. The best early example I could find of this was FunnyGame's level Crazy Bolt. Guess what the level is about? Yeah, it's about bolts. I don't know what you expected. The name's Crazy Bolt. You get the idea. You have no idea how cool this was for what, 2013? When the f was this? Basically, for back then, it was absolutely unheard of for levels to have a theme. You can clearly see FunnyGame try to go for a factory theme with these crazy bolts. I said it. Just scattered all around the level. This was something new and so creative. 2 years after FunnyGame releases that level, a small unknown player would find exactly this level and be inspired to start his own creating career. But who cares about that guy? People back then weren't used to this kind of creating. It wasn't default blocks anymore, it was something new. And this was only the start. At no point was this more noticeable than when Geometry Dash finally received the update 1.9. Not only did people now have tons of new cool blocks to play with, but people now could also assign up to 4 colors to objects. This basically opened up Pandora's box to creating user levels in Geometry Dash as we know them today. A lot of people call update 1.9 the golden age of Geometry Dash. I'm not sure if that's true, but one thing that I know for certain is that FunnyGame was about to absolutely pop off.
Well, that's cool, idea.
Every single time this guy uploaded a new level, it was an absolute banger. I remember waking up to notifications in the Skype group chats from people asking if others had played the new FunnyGame level yet. I always got super excited about his levels because for some reason, they just felt different. They felt sincere. Like there was a guy who genuinely cared about making a cool and fun level to play instead of just making a generic level just to get it featured on the main page. You know who you are. The attention to detail was insane for the time. For example, these notes in La Campanella actually are the notes of the song, which I for some reason didn't know. Did he actually use the right notes? Did he... No, don't tell me. The man was clearly putting in a lot of hard work into his levels. Work that went beyond what most other creators would be willing to go through for a tiny level in a €4 mobile game. And people noticed exactly that. Elevating Funny.
It's insane that he got no compensation for it. Like the developers get all the upside, he does all the work as a hobbyist.
Game to somewhat godlike status in the community. Something that people didn't notice, however, was FunnyGame himself. He never really interacted with the community that much and therefore was surrounded by a lot of mystery. This, however, was not the only reason why he was a bit of a mystery. Why are you standing so far away? It is 2015. Players from all around the world wake up to see a new level featured at the top of the list called Death Moon. This level was made by someone called Caustic, and man, was it sending waves through the community. Everyone was talking about this level. It was outstanding, so many creative effects, such unique art, and the entire aesthetic just felt amazing. And the craziest thing was, whoever this person was, it was his first level. It didn't even take a day for people to start theorizing that Caustic might be a secret alt account of FunnyGame. But that would be ridiculous, right? Who would upload an entire level they spent weeks or months on to a different account, hiding their identity? Well, FunnyGame for some reason? Remember earlier when I explained that you can just feel when you play a FunnyGame level? It turns out all the people saying the level felt like a FunnyGame level, they were right. He was the owner of the account Caustic. Why would he hide his identity? We don't really know. All we know is that this level was amazing, and basically everyone who played it instantly fell in love with it. We now enter 2016. 2.0 released not too long ago, and even more revolutionary features were added to the game, including move triggers, basically unlimited color channels, even more crazy blocks to play with, and with those, the floodgates opened.
He's being hunted.
2.0 was the era levels really
It's like a fucking super spy. He's in the ploy of the government making fucking Geometry Dash levels, and he had to change his name because he's being hunted. Holy shit, it goes all the way to the top.
Started to look like the levels that we see today, and leading the push was of course FunnyGame. Abyss. This has to be one of my favorite levels from FunnyGame. It basically showed everyone in the community what was actually possible with the new move triggers added to the game. The most insane thing about this level was the fully moving custom backgrounds. Before this, almost nobody even thought of the idea to create your own backgrounds and make them move. Finally, levels could jump away from the 20 default backgrounds provided by the game, and the community noticed. All of a sudden, levels with custom backgrounds were popping up everywhere, with FunnyGame seemingly being the one to massively popularize the concept. Another game-changing thing this level introduced was the low detail mode. By touching this trigger at the start, it would disable tons of objects everywhere, making the level easier to run for low-end devices like phones. This is a concept that to this day has become the standard of every big level. Without a low detail mode, you basically cut out a huge percentage of the player base that can't handle these insane complex levels. Over 2.0 and even the start of 2.1, FunnyGame kept releasing banger after banger after banger. Serious, with one of the first big effort boss fight concepts, Lonely Travel.
Oh, he should have made his own game. He should have made his own mobile game. Every mobile game rips off another one anyway. He should have ripped off his own and he could have made fucking millions.
Basically spawning an entire trend of really long levels. Nemesis, Don't Cry, Puzzle Trials, Simplism. He was the peak of the creator community, and it seemed like nothing could bring him down.
Back in those days, he was revolutionary.
He is by far one of the most influential creators this game has ever seen.
You could like make the effects that he did, but nobody thought of doing that stuff.
Some immediate examples I can think of is like Requiem. If you look at one part, he made like pretty much a lava pool out of just traditional objects before we were able to make custom animations, custom sprites and everything.
Have your own levels gotten influenced by FunnyGame over the years?
Oh yeah, definitely. It's stuff like Thanatos, which you look at and you can like kind of pick apart the discrepancies. If you stare too hard at a level, you can tell what's wrong with it. When I'm like making levels, I think about, well, if I just get the general feel of it and I don't like hurt myself trying to think about the details in this way too much, I can get away with it and still like enjoy playing the game. Like looking at FunnyGame levels, you can tell it was all about the idea, and that's what really brought a lot of people into it.
That is a really good way to put it. So you would say you learned like to care less about the like small details.
Yeah, more or less get the bigger picture. If you focus on the bigger picture and that is the coolest part about the level, that is a good thing for me at least.
I was like, how do you make a smooth effect like this? It was this effect. Yeah, this is where it pretty much started creating, because I was like, I created in 1.8, but only like on and off, right? And then I played this level and I saw this effect here. That's pretty much what made me open the editor and be like, I want to learn this. And then I never stopped from there.
And then, suddenly, things changed. It seemed the tide was turning on FunnyGame. Simplism was what many people considered to be the end of an era. Times were changing. The entire creating landscape moved to a new place, and it seemed like FunnyGame just couldn't keep up. Ever since Simplism, everyone in the community has just been confused. We clearly felt that levels like Titanium Buster had something off about them. Something was wrong, which made most people in the community think that FunnyGame just disappeared, and now someone else was making levels on his account. And the most shocking thing...
That's so mean if it's just him. He thinks it's another banger. He's like, they're gonna love Titanium Buster. Been doing it forever. Oh, this can't be him. This piece of shit? Someone must have kidnapped FunnyGame because this one sucks. Bro, he's probably trying.
Thing is, we were right.
Gave you like fucking... Oh, what?
Over the years, theories were crafted as to why FunnyGame levels suddenly felt so different. One of them was a rumor floating around that FunnyGame got hacked and someone just straight up stole his account. Account hacks have been very common over the years. Players got their levels deleted, they lost their accounts, they got impersonated, and so on. This is why the account hack theory was so believable to me. However, that is not what actually happened. To make this video, I contacted players who basically were as close as you can get to FunnyGame. The story they told me is quite strange and will need a bit of context, but this is what I believe actually happened. When you are as praised and loved as FunnyGame, the pressure can be intense. Every time you create a new level, people expect only the best from you. This is something all creators deal with in a different way, but I don't think anyone ever had to live up to his own standards like FunnyGame did. The pressure to perform must have been awful for FunnyGame.
Anyone ever in the history of mankind, no one had more pressure to perform than FunnyGame in Geometry? Geometry Wars level creation?
Game. Stuff like this can slowly drag you down over the years, and I've been told that's something he suffered with a lot. Even before Simplism, FunnyGame felt burned out. It was as if he couldn't keep up with the new era of crazy creators joining the game. This made it really hard for him to find time and motivation for levels, and at the end, it kinda got him burned out for the 2.1 update. This was only a small part of the problem, however. The biggest problem being the job he worked for. I'm not going to share his job because I want to respect his privacy. Just take my word that none of us would have time to focus on a mobile game if we worked in the same line of work.
Alright, it was NVIDIA, and it was me. I'm sorry. Maybe FunnyGame got a little tired of making Geometry Wars and just wanted to chill out and work at NVIDIA and stream. Okay? Maybe he wanted to do his fucking side business of being a Minecraft legend named Dream.
Work. So this is where he stood. With a looming burnout and real life slowly catching up to him, he was left with a big dilemma. Should he just fade away from the game, only to be remembered as a creator from the past? Or could he maybe keep it going somehow, just for a bit, until he has more time? Well, FunnyGame chose the second option. He decided to give his account away to a friend. If what I was told is correct, this was a full-on teacher and student relationship where FunnyGame would teach the other person how to create levels just like he did. The plan was to create the illusion that FunnyGame never left. Maybe he thought this would give him time to take a break so he could relax and refresh his mind a bit. But we all know.
Bro, what the fuck are you talking? Like, you're not. It's entirely voluntary. You're not even getting paid. This is so. It's like fucking full-on game developer work for free.
How it turned out in the end. We are now approaching the end of 2.1. With the new update 2.2 just over the horizon, we haven't heard a single word from FunnyGame ever since they swapped. FunnyGame, if you by accident are watching this video, I want to let you know that there are tons of people in this community who will never forget your amazing contributions to the game. They may not mean a lot to you, but your levels definitely played a really big part in this game's success. From La Campanella to Death Moon to Abyss to Lonely Travel. All of these are ingrained into the community forever, and nothing will change that. Wherever you are right now, I hope life is treating you well, and if it isn't, I hope this video maybe helps make your day a bit better. You definitely haven't been forgotten, and the book of FunnyGame is still wide open. Maybe on the next page you'll decide to pay us a visit again. Thank you for making some banger levels and inspiring me to pick up creating. If he's watching this video, if you have to say anything to FunnyGame, what would you say?
If I wouldn't have picked up your levels back then and looked at like how you build and the effects you make, I would have probably dropped GD. Without you, I probably wouldn't be here right now, so I thank you for that. And I miss you.
Thank you for creating levels in the way you do, because there aren't a lot of people who can do it properly, and you show people how to actually make engaging levels.
I think levels like Death Moon as well as Sirius were both just so new in their respective categories that the rest of the levels that followed past that all took inspiration from that.
Personal message to FunnyGame, something you want to let him know?
FunnyGame, hit me up, we should collab.
Yeah.
I'm straight up bawling my eyes out. Damn. Damn. That was cool. It was interesting. I think it was really sweet of the guy to make the video. You know, there's no, you know, that's cool to show some love to a creator that got you interested in the scene. Let's see. Treasure Planet? Disney's biggest mistake? I like that movie. It was a big flop. This could be interesting. That guy is going to make more money from that video than FunnyGame ever did making levels. Actually, 1000% true. The video about FunnyGame is going to make, you know, 15, 20,000, and then, you know, he made nothing. India's doing space travel on a budget. Georgia peach myth. The South tried to redefine itself with peaches. The weirdest cheated speedrun world record. That's kind of interesting. This is what we gotta watch. 15 most powerful motivational quotes. Joker's collection. Okay, get ready to be fucking motivated. I'm silent because I hate drama. This is fucking powerful, dude. Yes, finally some real shit. Finally we can actually learn today. Yes, I'd rather die on my feet rather than live on my knees. Famous Joker quote. Cobra. Pay close attention to people who don't clap when you win. Remember when Joker said that to Batman? Damn, that is a hard Joker line. That is a hard line from the Joker, dude. I am not a monster. I'm just ahead of the curve. Looking like... Sometimes I'll go to Starbucks dressed like this, and I'll say, they'll ask me for my order, and I won't respond. I'll stare them in the eye, 5 minutes, unblinking, and then I'll say this, and then I'll walk out. That's like a hobby of mine. That's why I don't stream on Sundays, and sometimes Mondays. I don't need a weapon. I am the one. And it's McDonald's Joker. The classic, I'm silent because I hate drama. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Anyone who speaks at all, any human being that opens their mouth to speak is participating in drama. Okay? Only by being dead silent can you get out of this fucking drama cycle that all the normie sheeple are trapped in. Love your family. Love your goals. Rest our assholes. Don't be so sweet. They will use you in the food and eat. These are all kind of like... They feel like mistranslated Joker quotes. Like the Italian Joker said them and we're translating them. I'm officially at the age where I hate fake friends. True. Bars. Don't be too kind. The world is blind. It's classic Joker. Joker who famously was so kind until Batman bullied him. Why is it in quotes? You don't need quotes on kind or blind. If you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. Respect your haters. They're the only ones who thinks you're better than them. What? A great future does not require a great past. Direct from The Dark Knight. That was fire. That was fire. Fucking hell yes, dude. How many views does that have? That video's bigger than my whole fucking channel. It's like a 3 fucking million view video. Holy shit, I'm pivoting. I'm pivoting to pure fucking Joker motivational comments. Let's see what we got in the comments. Born to shit, forced to wipe. Joker 2019, probably. If peacock was spelt peacock, it would be a lot funnier. Doctor said I am morbidly a beast. Gross. Oh, man. If they have a clean nose, they've been picking it. Damn, that turd I just shat out was massive Lamau. When I was 19, I was already over 18. Joker 2021. If you really think about it, everything in our universe is either a Shrek DVD or not a Shrek DVD. Right up the audience's alley. Whoo! That was good. That was good. Learned a lot. Learned a lot. Learned so much we could watch a dumb video now because that was so intelligent that we got overindulged. I'm looking. How long is this Oversimplified? We haven't watched a good Oversimplified in a while. This one's a good length. French Revolution Oversimplified. Let's watch that. Factor? Oh, speaking of Factor. Thank you again to Factor for sponsoring today's Get Smarter Saturdays. If you'd like to try Factor for yourself, use code POG Atrioc120 for $120 off in the link below beneath the stream, or go to factor75.com. Exclamation point Factor in chat. Thank you again, Factor, for supporting the stream. I love and use the product literally every single day I have one available. I get a full box, and the only reason I don't have one every day is because Ari will eat it sometimes and take it from me. They're fucking delicious. They're awesome. I truly highly recommend them if they are in your budget and you don't cook for yourself generally. If those things are true, I think you will actually like it. I think you'll enjoy it. All right, back to this. Let's go. NordVPN. I'm not going to watch that sponsor.
Video was made possible by NordVPN. Get protected.
This is the French Revolution Oversimplified. This looks good. This has been my recommended forever, and I haven't watched it, so I want to watch it.
Clicking the link below and get an amazing 75% off. That's only $2.99 per month with an addition.
Sponsor reads cringe. We don't do that here. We only do authentic reads. That's what I call
them. De la Fufayette, the real thing. So I said to the Marquis de la Fufayette, "What do you think I am? Some dirty peasant? I've never worked a day in my life. Wow, that Marie Antoinette sure is pretty. Sure is. Wouldn't want to be Prince Louis, though. That's going to be a lot of responsibility when he becomes king, especially since France is in financial ruin. Quite. Thank you one and all for attending the royal marriage of my grandson, the future King of France, to the Archduchess of Austria. Now for the very awkward yet historically accurate part of the ceremony, where we all watch them get into bed together.
Really?
All right, now that's out of the way. Let's leave the royal couple to it. You better give us an heir, you fat, ill-bred boy. Nighty-night. That's gonna be a lot of responsibility. France is in financial ruin. You fat, ill-bred boy. Quite. That's gonna be a lot of responsibility. France is in financial ruin. You fat, ill-bred boy. That's gonna be a lot of responsibility.
He's got acne on his mouth.
Oh, great. He's a freaking weirdo. France, the most prosperous, cultured, and beautiful nation in the world, as it had been for centuries. An exquisite social culture, with the king and the upper classes throwing crazy parties every night, enjoying high living and fine dining. Who cares that they were only able to do so off the backs of the hard-working, starving poor? What are they gonna do? Revolt? They're only 80% of the population. No. Life in France is great. What's that, France? You want to go to war with Britain and increase your power?
Ooh,
go for
that
it,
sounds
little buddy.
fun.
You do you. And you lost. Now you're in severe financial debt. We have no money. What do? Should we stop partying? Heck no. Party harder. That's okay.
Nice.
The peasantry will pick up the slack. They were created by God to do all the work, and you were created to reap all the benefits and party hard. That's just how society works, and we've all just accepted it for centuries. Why? Why what? Why do the nobility get to be all rich and stuff? Just because they were born into it? And the rest of us schmucks just have to accept that? Hell, why do we even need a king? Who decided that? It all just seems very unfair and unequal, and I, for one, am starting to question it. Wow, that's very enlightened of you. And so began the Age of Enlightenment. Great philosophical thinkers across France and beyond began to question whether this beautiful nation was really all that beautiful after all. Hey, Prince Louis, bad news. Your grandpop died of smallpox this morning,
Sad.
which means good news, you're now the king. So just to sum up, France is in severe financial debt,
Oof.
and the angry populace are beginning to question how necessary you are. But hey, I believe in you, champ. You got this.
I bet he saves France.
Oh, no. Prince Louis Capet became King Louis XVI in May 1774. He was a notoriously weak man, and he knew it. He barely had the wisdom to rule a nation, never mind one in crisis, and he was easily manipulated by those around him. One of his first acts was to try to get revenge on the British by financing their American colony's revolution. Hey, we're an independent nation now.
Nice.
That was real swell of you, Louis. Couldn't have done it without you. Glad I could help. So hey, about all that money we lent you, when can we get that back? Yep, you're a great guy. I'll never forget what you've done for us. Real glad I could help, friend, but about that money, gotta go now, chum. Best of luck to you.
Man, I'm glad. As an American, I guess I'm pretty fucking glad this guy didn't know what the fuck he's doing. That helped a lot. We definitely would have lost Revolutionary War without France's support and warships. There'd have been no shot.
No. And now France was in even more debt.
Get scammed,
France's
son.
poor, suffering under the strain of economic ruin, watched as the nobility continued to live as though nothing was wrong. In particular, they grew increasingly disdainful of the queen, Marie Antoinette, as she continued to spend all of France's money on her own luxurious lifestyle and fashion. While the peasants were breaking their backs in the fields, she was walking around like, hey, my hair is about. I'm not making that up. Her hair really was about. And her lavish spending earned her the nickname Madame Deficit. And speaking of the queen, there was also a long-standing scandal.
Imagine trying to give a speech on austerity when your hair's a boat. We all need to tighten our belts. You know, it's going to be a tough couple seasons. And we're going to need to really pull it together to keep France afloat. Much like my boat-like hair.
Scandal around the fact that the king took a very long time to boink her, and the working classes of Paris began ridiculing the royal couple with lewd pamphlets depicting the queen as a court thought. and the king is a wuss, unable to fulfill his marital duty. Respect for the monarchy was at an all-time low, as France's
when you get
finances were
fucking roasted
spiraling
over
out of
pamphlet,
control.
that's
And the
tough.
king and his aides really only had one solution to the crisis. Tax the poor. Tax the poor. We could do a sexy calendar shoot. Tax the poor.
Nice.
And so it was. The poor, who were already struggling to make ends meet, found themselves being taxed from every direction. Hey, I'm the royal tax collector. Looks like you've yet to pay your income tax, head tax. By the way, how many windows you got in that house of yours? 3? Oof, yep. There's gonna be a tax for that. Hey, your local priest here. Have you paid your church tithe yet? Well, at least this one is going to the good work of God. Sure. God. I think this year, God wants me to buy a new swimming pool. Hey, private tax collector here. Oh, and I brought some goons with me. Just a few quick questions. How much salt did you buy this year? About 7 kilos, I think? Yep. Okay, there's gonna be a tax for that. Oh, what's that over there? And that's extra salt I held over from last year, so I wouldn't have to buy as much this year. Oh, yeah, there's a tax for that. And what are you doing with all this salt? Well, obviously cooking. Mm-hmm. On the table. Yep. And preserving fish and meat. Oh no. Yep, and there's a tax for that. Hey, how old is he? He's 9. And so he's purchased his required amount of salt for this year, right? What? No, he's 9. Uh-oh, sorry, little Timmy. Looks like I'm gonna have to tax you for that.
That's deserved, though, right? I mean, like, come on, this kid's not...
Yep, salty. There's gonna be a tax for that. And that's not all. A huge portion of the peasants' harvest had to be given up. And there was also the labor tax, where peasants were required to work a certain number of days for their local lord without pay.
That's
Obviously,
insane.
people weren't too happy with these taxation policies, and the aggressive nature of these private tax farmers sometimes even escalated to violence. In particular, though, the people really hated how inconsistent the taxation rules were across the nation, and also the fact that the first 2 estates often had to pay very little, if any, tax.
Damn. Anyone getting a sense of deja vu? Surely there's no parallels to today. Surely there's no fucking comparison to how taxation works right now.
At all. And so, the anger continued to grow. France had a population that was just about ready to explode. What could push them over the edge? How about a touch of natural disaster? A series of harsh summers and winters left the peasants' harvests in ruin, meaning they had no food or money, and the cost of bread skyrocketed. Of course, the upper classes had massive stocks of grain and wheat, so they were virtually untouched by this new crisis. But now the poor really were starving, and they began to riot. Women took to the streets, bakeries were raided, and bakers suspected of keeping bread for themselves were sometimes even hanged.
Jeez.
Wow, this is really getting out of control. Your Majesty, we need some decisive action. You need to step up and lead us. What will you do? Okay, I've got this. I know. I'll summon the Estates General, and they'll decide what to do. You really are a fat, ill-bred boy. The Estates General was the closest thing France had to a government, apart from the king. It was a purely advisory body, and was rarely summoned. In fact, it hadn't been summoned for 175 years prior to this. But with France in a severe crisis, the king felt the time was right to call on the government to help. The Estates General was made up of representatives from the 3 estates, that is, the clergy, the nobility, and everybody else. Okay, thanks for coming, everyone. The first order of business is regarding the clergy and nobility. You all get brand new Porsches.
Nice!
You get a Porsche, and you get a Porsche, and you get a Porsche. Everybody gets a Porsche. And now into the second order of business. France is completely out of money. Like, it's never been this bad before. Anyone got any ideas? How about we all get Lamborghinis next time? The king decided that in order to make a decision, they had to come up with a voting system. Okay, the clergy. You have a population of 130,000, so you'll get 1 vote. The nobility. You have a population of 350,000, so you'll also get 1 vote. And the third estate. You have a population of 27 million people and make up 98% of the population. Very impressive. You'll get 1 vote. The third estate were obviously pretty unhappy with this system because they kept on finding that this would happen. We propose to raise taxes on the third estate. All in favor? All opposed? 2-1. Taxes will be raised on the third estate. We propose a motion that says the first 2 estates are a bunch of poo-poo heads. All in favor? All opposed? 2-1. It's official. We are not poo-poo heads.
Well, that's democracy. That's democracy, all right? You can't argue with
reform
the vote.
Would be outvoted by the two upper estates, and they thought that was kind of lame. So they decided that since they were 98% of the population, they could go off to form their own government, make their own laws, and take over the running of the country. And so, the National Assembly was born. The Third Estate was now in control, and there was nothing the king could do to stop. Ha! I've locked you all out of your building. What are you gonna do about it? We'll probably go find a different building that isn't locked. Ow, no!
That was the
National
big
Assembly
plan?
did find another unlocked building just down the road, an indoor tennis court. Where on the 20th of June 1789, they all took the tennis court oath, pledging to continue meeting until the king finally gave in to their demands for more equality and economic reform. This new National Assembly included many of the most educated members of the Third Estate, including two young lawyers by the names of Maximilien Robespierre and Georges Danton. Some members of the first two estates even joined their cause. Some of these men formed a radical new political party called the Jacobin Club and quickly became leading figures. While many members of the Third Estate simply wanted more equality, a growing number in this Jacobin faction would begin calling for something even crazier, the removal of the king entirely.
Ooh.
And this is where fear began to take hold.
How the hell are
With
you going
such
to live without a king? Really? No king. It won't work. It doesn't make sense. Who's going to be at the top, you know? It's ludicrous. Let's hear him out, though.
Situation developing, everyone was afraid.
Let's not
of
lose our
something.
heads over this
The
whole no
feared
king
his
thing.
Position was under threat, and he called in the military to take position around Paris. The Third Estate heard rumor of the gathering military force, and they feared the king was planning to round them up and arrest them. Maybe he'd even execute them. It also didn't help that the king had just dismissed France's popular finance minister, who had been trying to make reforms himself. It seemed the king was done negotiating. Fear, left unchecked, often boils over into anger, and anger detonates with violence. The angry people of Paris, after centuries of cruel inequality, harsh oppression, even starvation, fearful of having their new movement for reform demolished so soon, decided that it was now or never to take action. Screw reform. They decided they'd do one better. How about revolution? The people of Paris, believing the French military was preparing to attack, decided they should arm themselves. The National Assembly announced the creation of a bourgeois militia, the National Guard, and immediately, many troops from the French military defected over to the revolutionary side. In the early hours of July 14th, 1789, a large crowd stormed and raided the Hôtel des Invalides, a military hospital where they were able to secure a large number of rifles. The bad news was they weren't able to find any gunpowder for their new weapons. The good news was they knew exactly where to get some. A prison fortress and a symbol of royal tyranny towering over
Bastille
Paris.
Day!
The Bastille. Mid-morning, the crowd gathered around the Bastille and demanded that the man in charge, Governor Delaunay, surrender the prison and hand over the gunpowder.
Damn.
Obviously, Governor Governor
He was a looker. How could he be evil with a face like that? Yes, there are two horns beginning to protrude from his head, but
Delaunay surrendered the prison and
ass
hand over the
motherfucker.
gunpowder. Obviously, Governor Delaunay was like, no way. So he stalled for time by inviting a few members of the crowd in for negotiations. The crowd, still waiting outside, quickly became impatient, and before long, they stormed the fortress, taking on the French troops inside. Your Majesty, we've received word that the people have surrounded the Bastille. Governor Delaunay will hold them off. No need to worry. Actually, Your Majesty, it appears the crowd is now headed away from the Bastille. You see? What did I tell you? Clearly Governor Delaunay has defeated them and has them on the run. No need to worry. Your Majesty, isn't that Governor Delaunay's head on a pike? Well, clearly Governor Delaunay has taken on the form of a bodiless pike-head deity, and the people are so enamored with him, they're parading him around the city. No need to worry at all. When the National Assembly heard about the violence that had taken place, they had two options. Either one, they denounce it and try to carry on the revolution using peaceful means, or two, they say, damn, you stuck his head on a pike? That's pretty hardcore. And we love it. Incidentally, they went with option number 2. Some historians believe this reaction paved the way for the utter violence and bloodshed that would become the legacy of the French Revolution.
Yeah.
This widespread acceptance of violence during the
Takes
revolution
a
is
wrong
also largely
turn.
credited to the writings of a certain Jean-Paul Marat, a man of science with a horrible skin condition that kept him confined to a bathtub. He began writing a radical newspaper he affectionately named The Friend of the People. Citizens of France, be very afraid. Given the chance, the king and the nobility won't hesitate to massacre us all. The solution is simple. Execute them.
This is crazy. This is like having your entire ideology defined by the crazy guy in the YouTube comments. You know what I'm saying? He is the equivalent of just some psycho in the Reddit. Like the paragraph Andy on Reddit. He's the LSF Andy. And he just writes like fucking crazy. Everyone's like, yeah, well, take it as fact.
Kill every last one of them. Cut off 1,000 heads. And if that's not enough, cut off 1,000 more. Oh, hey, Mr. Squeaky. What are you doing down there? You're so cute.
It's got a soft side, though.
I love you too, Mr. Squeaky. Mwah. Now, where was I? Oh, yeah. Kill them all. It became one of the most popular publications in Paris during the Revolution and succeeded in spreading ever-increasing fear and anger among the people. In August, leaders of the National Assembly, with help from a certain Thomas Jefferson, adopted the Declaration of the Rights of Man and of the Citizen, an incredible document that guaranteed liberty and equal rights to all men. And when I say men, I mean men. Despite its glaring shortcomings in gender equality, the massively influential declaration would go on to inspire the struggle for liberty and equality across the planet for centuries. However, back in France, the vast majority of the people weren't really so concerned with enlightened ideas of equality as much as they were concerned with the fact that they were still starving. Bread was still expensive as hell and hard to come by. The people felt that one reason nothing had been done yet about the crisis was because the king simply couldn't see the problem. He lived in Versailles, a full 20 kilometers southwest of Paris, and as a result, lived in comfort, separated from his dirty, stinking subjects. On October 5th, a crowd of women, 7,000 strong, decided they'd do something unprecedented. They decided they'd remove that separation and confront the king directly.
Oh shit,
the women marched all the way to the king's palace in Versailles. Along the way, the crowd continued to grow into the tens of thousands, and when they arrived, they demanded an audience with the king. What are those things outside the palace? They're poor people, your majesty. That's poor people? They say they're hungry. Hungry? Then let them eat cake. Wow. See, this is the exact BS that led to this whole mess in the first place. You're so out of touch. They're writhing around in the filth, breaking their back to barely scrape by, and they come to you demanding just the basic ability to feed themselves, and you think a slice of cake will sort them out? Well, then let them eat Taco Bell Crunchwrap Supreme.
That would have worked. How do I?
Wow. They're not
too long ago.
that desperate. Members of the crowd actually managed to break into the palace with the intention of killing the queen, who narrowly escaped through a secret passage in her bedroom. The enraged mob killed several members of the royal guard and raised their heads on pikes, which, if you haven't noticed yet, is something they were quite fond of doing. The king had no choice but to come out and talk to the crowd. He agreed to accept his new position, sharing power with the revolutionary government, and to return to Paris with the crowd, removing the separation between king and subject. King Louis had a problem with people constantly raiding his palace, but one thing he didn't have a problem with was people raiding his computer, because he used Muse. You can take a VPN, simply.com.
Part 2, part 2, part 2!
King Louis and his family were now in the Tuileries Palace in Paris, where for the next couple of years, he watched as the revolutionary government began to strip away his power, and fearing
20 minutes? Snack pause, and then we watch part 2. Everyone get a snack. Get your snack, get your drink. We're gonna watch part 2, but I want to get a little snacky snack. Snacky snack time. Okay. We're back and ready to go. Is there a prediction going? I don't know how to end it. Do we have a mod? Hey, is there any mod here that can pay out the gamba for that I won for Elden Ring? Maybe I need to add one mod. You know what? I'm adding fuchsia. Been super helpful. Modded. Big Drakes! Big Drakes for fuchsia! Let's go! Maybe they could have done it too, but if I give Atrioc any one of them mod, the rest of them will want mod. And there'll be like a fucking Reddit song about how I don't give people mods. Also, Fuchsia sent me a bunch of helpful DMs about like 5 different streams recently. Alright, pay out the believers! All right, let's watch the part 2 here.
For his safety, he had to stay on their good side. Hey, look who it is. It's my favorite revolutionaries. Yep, I'm your #1 fan. What can I do for you? Hey, King Louis. So we've made a few decisions. First, all of your friends in the nobility are going to have to pay taxes the same as everyone else. Great idea. I love it. And as a side note, the tax money can no longer pay for all your lavish parties. Great. I hate those parties. They're so awkward. And also, we're taking away your Porsche. Oh, come on! I mean, yay. The king continually found demand after demand being made of him to prove his support for the revolution. On one occasion, a mob would invade the palace and demand he wear the revolutionary bonnet. This is the face of a man who is definitely pretending he wants to wear that bonnet. Now around here, I want to mention that one thing King Louis had a problem with was people constantly raiding his palace. But one thing he didn't have a problem with was raiding noobs on this video's sponsor, Raid Shadow Legends. Raid Shadow Legends is a brand new collection RPG game with amazing
Factor
3D
meals
graphics,
are a
an awesome
delicious
storyline,
and
giant
nutritious
boss fights,
way
all free to play
to
on your phone.
support
There's
your
over
own
400 champions
healthy
for you to
eating
collect and
habits.
customize,
If you
and
use
crazy
code
battles and events that will get you
POGATRIOC,
hooked immediately.
$120
You can find me in the
off,
game under the
you
nickname
too
Oversimplified.
can get
And if you're
Factor
quick
meals
enough and cool
delivered to your
enough,
home.
You can join my clan. Go to the video description.
Go to the link
click
in
on
the
special
description
links,
below,
and you, will
and
instantly
you
get
can check
50,000
out Factor
silver
meals
and a free
for
epic
yourself
champion
and
as part of the new
send
player program
awesome,
to
delicious
start your
meals
journey.
to your house.
Good luck, and I'll see you there. Now, where was I? Oh yeah. Seeing the situation rapidly turning against him, the king decided it might be a good idea to leave France and mount a campaign to retake his country from abroad. Luckily for him, he was married to an Austrian, so on the night of June 20th, 1791, the king and his family disguised themselves as servants and attempted to flee to the Austrian Netherlands.
Kind of a smart
The
idea.
royal carriage made a stop in the town of Varennes, and the postmaster there was like, "Hey guys, what's up? Where are you off to?" "We are but a collection of inconspicuous servants heading for the border
In
for
a
no
royal
particular
carriage?"
reason at all." Say, you, the fat one, you look kind of familiar. Aren't you the king? Nope. Let me see your passport. It says here you're King Louis the 16th. Nope, not me. Take him away, boys. The king was promptly returned to
Damn, he
Paris.
tried.
But now, the jig was up. His lack of support for the revolution was clear to all, and many considered him a straight-up traitor who tried to abandon his people. As a result, the new constitution of 1791 completely reduced his powers to that of a simple figurehead, a constitutional monarch. However, radicals, such as those in the Jacobin Club, were outraged that the king wasn't to be removed entirely. So a month later, these radicals staged a protest on the Champ de Mars, calling for the king's removal. The government of Paris feared an insurrection was mounting, and they sent the military to disperse the crowd. The confrontation escalated and resulted in the revolution.
Wait, someone said, fun fact, he was recognized because his face was on coins in France back then. That's crazy. Imagine someone holding up the fucking money. Bro, that's you. You are the spitting image of this. You ever get that? You look just like the fucking guy on our coin.
National Guard firing on a crowd of revolutionaries. It was a massacre. The incident exposed a deep division within the Brotherhood of the Revolution. On one side, the moderates who wanted to keep the king as a figurehead. On the other, radicals who wanted to see the king deposed and heads roll. In the wake of the massacre, these radicals received a wave of support. And speaking of rolling heads, one form of equality the revolution introduced was equality in execution. This meant no more torturous drawing and quartering, no more inhumane hanging. They wanted all criminals, regardless of economic status, to receive the same penalty, a quick and painless one. Luckily, a man by the name of Dr. Joseph Guillotine had an idea. A heavy blade that falls like thunder. The head flies off, blood spurts, and the man is no more. The guillotine, otherwise known as the National Razor. The guillotine made its debut in 1790.
I did not know that it was named after a guy named Guillotine. That's crazy. Me and Ludwig were off stream talking about this guy. Forget his name now, but he was like the executioner for France for like 3 decades, and he executed like thousands of people. John Sanson, yeah. I'm sure. No, he's mentioned about it. We talked about it on stream afterwards, but off stream we were just in a call. We were just trolling Wikipedia together with Stans, and Stans can be like, "Shut the fuck up," and we kept talking about John Sanson, and he had like the most crazy life.
As the new form of execution. The writings of Marat and others continued to call for the execution of anyone suspected of working against the revolution. For him, this included some members of the clergy and nobility who had previously benefited from the cruel system of inequality that existed before the revolution. In many parts of the countryside, local lords had found themselves become a target. Sire, the peasants, they're revolting. Oh, come on, that's a bit harsh. Sure, they smell a bit, but I wouldn't say they're revolting. Oh yes, I see what you mean. Increasingly, these French aristocrats began fleeing France to find solitude in other parts of Europe. And once again, fear began to take hold. The privileged classes of these foreign nations didn't like what they were seeing because they feared revolutionary ideas may spread to their own lands. The National Assembly, actually now the Legislative Assembly, feared that these nations may decide to attack. Then why don't we attack them first? No, you idiots, we are definitely not ready for war yet. Did somebody say something? France declared war on Austria in April 1792 and immediately got pummeled. It also didn't help that Austria's ally, Prussia, joined in the fighting. The Prussian Duke of Brunswick posted a letter warning the revolutionaries that if anything happened to the king, he would burn Paris to the ground. The Duke's letter proved to be a massive success in inspiring the people of Paris to do the exact opposite of what he intended. They were enraged by the threat, and on the 10th of August 1792, the tension in the city exploded, and a mob stormed the king's palace. Fighting broke out between the revolutionaries and the king's Swiss guard, with casualties in the hundreds. King Louis fled and took refuge in the chamber of the Legislative Assembly, where Robespierre and his radical Jacobins were gaining ever more power. Given the developing situation, the chamber decided to hold a vote, and in what some considered to be a second revolution, it was decided to suspend the monarchy entirely. King Louis XVI was now just plain old Louis, and he was sent to a prison cell where an eye could be kept on him. A month later, the newly established National Convention officially declared the French Republic, and society underwent a massive change. Enlightened ideas of democracy and equality were being implemented, but very quickly, these ideas seemed to become secondary to fear, paranoia, and a thirst for blood. The new republic began working to violently remove any semblance of the old royalist regime. The church became a prime target. Priests who refused to take an oath to the revolution were deported or arrested. A new state-sponsored atheistic religion named the Cult of Reason was created as a replacement for the Catholic Church. Notre Dame, along with many other churches, had their
I mean, I'm not religious, but they were the original neckbeards? They were the original Redditors? Dude, they let their entire fucking ideology get corrupted by Redditors?
religious treasures destroyed and were converted to temples of reason. Even the Christian calendar didn't survive, as a brand new revolutionary calendar was soon introduced. Hey honey, I'm home. Yeah, whatever, jerk. Whoa, what's wrong with you? You forgot. Forgot what? Everything. This entire year. My birthday was on the 3rd of Germinal, our anniversary was the 12th of Thermidor, and you promised that in Frymare, we'd go on a romantic weekend trip to Venice. No, I said we'd do that in December. December hasn't been a thing for years. The government of Paris, now under the control of the radical sans-culottes, began rounding up suspected enemies of the revolution and sending them to prison in the thousands. Naturally, a large number of those arrested were members of the clergy and aristocracy. As France's foreign enemies continued to close in, panic spread. Georges Danton made impassioned calls for men to defend the Republic, and tens of thousands of troops left Paris for the front lines. However, in their absence, Paris was left to its own devices. As enemy troops arrived in Verdun, the people of Paris feared that their crowded prisons were becoming a breeding ground for counter-revolutionary conspiracy. What would happen if the Prussians reached Paris and freed the aristocrats? Marat believed he knew what would happen. The aristocrats would enact their vengeance on the people. Fearing those they had already imprisoned, mobs descended on Paris's prisons. They broke in, and during the brutal September massacres, aristocrats, priests, and others were tried and executed on the spot. Even women and children weren't spared. With over 1,600 victims, word of the massacre spread across Europe. One British newspaper wondered, are these the rights of man? Is this the liberty of human nature? But there was still one man in particular that Robespierre and his radicals really wanted to see executed. Austria and Prussia pledged that after they defeated France, they'd return King Louis to the throne. Well, checkmate Austria and Prussia, because you can't return a man to the throne if he's already dead. Citizen Louis Capet was put on trial for treason. Obviously, he was found guilty, but his punishment was less certain. Many moderates wanted to simply deport him, but Robespierre insisted the revolution could only live if the king was dead. A vote was held, and by just one vote, Louis was sentenced to the guillotine. If you don't mind, I'd like to say a few words first. Gentlemen, I am innocent of everything of which I am accused. Wait, you're too loud. They can't hear me. Hang on, I haven't finished yet. Wait, dude. Uncool. In her prison cell, Marie Antoinette heard the guns fire, signaling her husband's death. Before long, she would meet the same fate. Back on the war front, France defied all expectations and actually managed to push the enemy back. But then more countries joined the coalition against France, and it all went to pot again. What do? Conscript the masses. The National Convention introduced a conscription law, with each regional department having to meet a certain quota of men for the army. However, not everyone was happy with this new law. Of course. You see, while Paris was definitely a hotbed for radical revolutionary fervor, some of the regions outside of Paris weren't quite so keen on the revolution. Some were largely still conservative, still supported the church, and just didn't suffer from that much inequality before the revolution. So as the revolution turned increasingly violent and anti-Christian, many were outraged. Now, they were being conscripted to fight for the new republic they hated. That was the last straw. Counter-revolutionary uprisings erupted in a number of regions across France. Some would last for years, such as in the northwest, where a large-scale uprising was led by the Owls. Why were they called the Owls? The Owls? Because their leader was named Jean Owl. Why was he called Jean Owl? Possibly because he could do a really good impression of an owl. Really? That's what we're going with? Owls? Just because this guy can do an impression of one? Hit him with it, Jean. Hoot, hoot. Yeah, okay, that's pretty good.
That's pretty good.
The Chouannerie uprising lasted all the way until 1800. In the summer of 1793, the southern city of Toulon invited the British Navy over for some tea and crumpets, and then they asked if they'd possibly like to stay and occupy the city. Being an important naval base, this was a heavy blow to the Republic, who sent a relatively unknown young captain by the name of Napoleon Bonaparte to help stage a siege of the city. Toulon was recaptured by France in the winter, and for his service, Napoleon was promoted to the rank of Brigadier General. The most infamous counter-revolution, however,
he was pretty young, I think, right?
Region. Throughout 1793, revolutionary forces clashed with the region's Catholic and Royal Army. The Republic defeated the counter-revolution through cruel pacification. In particular, General Jean-Baptiste Carrier committed brutal atrocities. In one instance, he had thousands of civilians, priests, women, and children tied to ships, which were then sunk. Carrier would later...
Sorry, what? Wait, what? Did I hear that right?
Priests, women, and Baptiste Carrier committed brutal atrocities. In one instance, he had thousands of civilians, priests, Women and
Thousands?
children tied to ships, which were then sunk. Carrier would later be found guilty of war crimes.
Yeah, wow, that's psychotic. What was even the purpose? He tied a bunch of women and children to ships and then sunk them?
And
In
executed.
his own country?
Back in Paris, the government was still dominated by moderates. With the war going badly, revolts in the provinces, and the economy getting worse, it seemed the government just wasn't doing a very good job. Radicals' fear for the safety of the revolution intensified, and Marat even began calling for the moderates in the government to be executed.
Bro, why are they
In
still
return,
listening to him?
the moderates called for the arrest of Marat. This led to a chain of events with the two sides in heated conflict. Robespierre declared the Jacobins to be an insurrection and called on the people to arm themselves. It all ended on the 31st of May 1793 with the National Convention surrounded by radical sans-culottes and 29 moderate Girondin politicians arrested. From this moment on, the moderates ceased to be a political force. Robespierre and his radicals would be in almost total control of the government. And this brings us to the story of a woman named Charlotte Corday. Charlotte lived in the northwest city of Caen, and like many in the area, was horrified at the rapid radicalization and increasing violence of the revolution. And the man she blamed more than anyone was Jean-Paul Marat. She
Right.
wanted to bring peace back to France, and so she did something drastic. She traveled to Paris and told Marat she had a list of enemies for him to publish in his paper. Marat eagerly invited her in for a meeting. So where's that list of enemies you promised me? Here it is. Wait a minute. This isn't a list of enemies. It just says, yippee-ki-yay, mother...
Holy
And
shit!
just like that, Marat was no more.
Wait, that's what
Charlotte
happened?
was quickly arrested and sent to the guillotine. Her dream of restoring peace, however, died with her. Marat became a martyr. In temples of reason, symbols of the dead Marat became the new crucifix. In death, he became an even more powerful inspiration for the extreme levels of violence that were about to rip throughout the new
Holy
republic.
fuck.
That's right. Here comes
I didn't
the
know
reign
this.
of terror. If you thought this revolution already sounds pretty violent, well, you ain't seen nothing yet, son. The radicals were now in control, and they believed not only was France surrounded by foreign enemies, but that within the masses, there were also plenty of internal ones too. Individuals not loyal to the revolution, conspiring to bring about its downfall. Robespierre and the rest of the radical faction were having none of it. A
Pretty
new Committee
paranoid.
of Public Safety was established with 12 members. Its purpose was to protect the new French Republic from its enemies, and it basically became a 12-man dictatorship with Robespierre as its leading voice. The Revolutionary Tribunal was also reinstated, a special court created to streamline the process of trying suspected enemies and handing out their death sentences. With these two new institutions, Robespierre wanted to scare France's enemies straight. In September 1793, it was announced that terror would be the order of the day. In other words, fear had become official government policy. And from then onwards, we enter into the period known as the Reign of Terror. Spies and secret police were everywhere and watched the people closely. France's public had to be extremely careful what they said and how they behaved. Obviously, criticizing this new system, or the government, would quickly have you sent off to the guillotine. But that's not all. Even the most minor offense could have you tried before the Revolutionary Tribunal. Hello, Citizen Martin. Hello, Monsieur Dubois. Monsieur? Did I just hear you say Monsieur? That's the old style of address, my friend. To the guillotine! You know what? I didn't like him, but I do feel kind of bad for the king and his family. Oof, expressing sympathy for the royal family, are we? To the guillotine! 12 sous for a loaf of bread? That's way overpriced. To the guillotine! Man, this bread line is taking forever. To the guillotine! And you look like you're thinking anti-revolutionary thoughts. To the guillotine. Max, we're
That's
sending
fair.
way too many people to the guillotine. To the guillotine! Chop, 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 chop. It was insane. All across France, about 40,000 people were killed
Jesus!
for suspected crimes against liberty. Let's say your neighbor won't stop mowing the lawn at 7 in the morning. Well, then all you gotta do is tell the government they've been talking smack about the revolution. And there's a good chance they'll end up in front of the Revolutionary Tribunal. Maybe they'll even be executed, taking a metaphorical load off your shoulders and a literal one off theirs. The most prominent victim of the Reign of Terror was a certain Marie Antoinette, who was finally tried and found guilty of treason
Oh, she's
in
not dead yet?
1793. She expected she'd be brought to the guillotine in a royal carriage, fit for a queen. All the Republic could provide
If
for
you guys can't see because of the chat, she's got an ATST in her hair. Or AT-AT,
however,
I'm sorry.
was a wooden tumbril. At 37 years old, the most hated woman in French history met her end on the 16th of October, 1793. Robespierre had saved the revolution through terror. Internal dissent was being suppressed. The food situation was no longer quite as bad. Even the French military had got its act together again and pummeled the Allies at the Battle of Fleurus. For Danton and his followers, the time was right to try to normalize the French Republic. Hey Robespierre, so we were thinking that since things are finally going better, maybe we should rein in the terror. And while we're on it, we could possibly start taking it easier on the church. And also try to end this costly war. Oh,
Don't put him in the guillotine,
As time went
bro.
on,
Don't put
Robespierre
him in the
seemed to go, for lack
guillotine.
of a better term, a bit mental. He was hell-bent on creating what he called a republic of virtue. And for him, this meant amping up the bloodshed even more. Throughout the spring and summer of 1794, executions reached an unprecedented level during a period known as the Great Terror. Even those closest to him found their way to the guillotine if they dared oppose his ideas and actions, and he began alienating himself from the rest of the convention. He created a new deistic religion called the Cult of the Supreme Being, along with the new annual Festival of the Supreme Being. Man, I think Robespierre is really starting to lose it. He thinks he's a god or something. Nonsense. Sure, he's gone a little extreme, but he doesn't think he's a god. My children, bathe your immortal souls in the virtue of my republic. Okay, yeah, he's completely lost it. Robespierre's ultimate mistake, however, came on July 26th, when he made a speech to the National Convention, in which he said this: I have in my hand a brand new list of enemies to be sent to the guillotine, and many of you are on this list, but I'm not going to tell you who yet. What do you think of that? I think we should send Robespierre to the guillotine first.
That's so stupid. That is such a bad idea. Everyone's going to be afraid of you, and they're going to have to kill you first. He'd be the worst Among Us player, bro.
All in favor?
I know who the imposter is, but I'm not going to
2
say it
days
at this
later,
meeting.
Robespierre became the final victim of the monstrous terror and paranoia he had created. Many historical accounts of the revolution end here with the death of Robespierre and his terror. But the revolution officially continued for another 5 years, until 1799. So what happened between now and then? Well,
Napoleon.
after the fall of Robespierre, a more moderate political group called the Thermidorians took control of the convention. They wanted to restore stability to the government. Now, Robespierre's allies and other radicals who had fueled the terror themselves became the target of political suppression. Bourgeois street fighters took on the radical sans-culottes in the streets during a period named the White Terror. In 1795, the Thermidorians drafted a new constitution and created a government.
Dude, this is like just rapid fire. Everyone that comes into power is just beating the shit out and killing the people that were in power right before them. It's just rapid fire. Someone else comes to power and then gets their grudge out, and they cause new grudges, and then someone else gets in.
Called the Directory, with the purpose of preventing power from being able to fall into the hands of a single individual again. As this new government was being established, royalists who wanted to bring the monarchy back to France saw this moment as an opportunity to strike. They staged an insurrection in Paris and battled with the National Guard in the streets. Luckily, one Napoleon Bonaparte happened to be in Paris at the time, and he took control of the situation, firing on the crowd and putting down the insurrection. From this moment on, the people of Paris would never again be able to stage a popular uprising and lost their control over the revolution. For his actions, Napoleon became a general and was sent to take control of the French armies in Italy. The new Directory remained a fairly ineffective government for the remainder of the revolution. It was plagued with corruption and struggled to keep the economy afloat, and as a result, wasn't very popular. For the people of France, with the strict social customs of both royalist France and the terror gone, they didn't really know what to do with themselves. Men no longer removed their hats when talking to women. Different classes began intermingling, and a publication began circulating that looked a lot like a modern dating app. It was social anarchy. Outside of France, the war continued. In 1795, France took the Netherlands, where they set up a puppet state. Then they negotiated both Prussia and Spain out of the war. The British attempted to land French royalists in the west to reinforce rebellion, but that plan failed. In 1796, the French planned a three-pronged attack with the aim of marching on Vienna and knocking Austria out of the war. The two northern armies were defeated and forced to retreat. However, Napoleon in the south, with groundbreaking military strategy, won battle after battle after battle. He pushed the Austrians out of Italy and began closing in on Vienna. The Austrians freaked out, and Napoleon oversaw the signing of a peace treaty. He had almost single-handedly knocked Austria out of the war, and by the way, he was only 28. So maybe
Yeah,
it's
he was
about
young,
time
huh?
you moved out of your mom's basement. Napoleon became a famed hero among the
Sad.
French people, but his aspirations were still higher. He briefly went off to Egypt and discovered a bunch of gnarly Egyptian stuff, but then the British destroyed his fleet and trapped his forces. Say, Napoleon, sir, you're not going to leave us here stuck in Egypt and return to France, are you? Nonsense, my boy. I would never dream of abandoning my loyal soldiers. Wow, what's that over there? On his return to Paris, Napoleon found himself to be extremely popular, and the government extremely unpopular, and he started getting some power-hungry ideas. Conveniently, a politician named Emmanuel Joseph Sieyès approached Napoleon and said, "Hey man, since you're so popular, do you want to help me stage a coup?" "Great idea. Let's stage a coup, and then I'll coup you." What? Napoleon, with the help of his politician brother, entered the government chamber, possibly got punched in the face, and finally his troops intimidated the council to dissolve the government and create a new constitution that basically made Napoleon a dictator. So there you have it, the French Revolution, born with the great promise of liberty and equality. The common people dared challenge an oppressive system that had existed for centuries. But before they knew it, they found liberty sidelined by terror, equality that possibly didn't quite hit the mark, and an absolute monarchy replaced by an absolute dictator. Napoleon began stabilizing French society. He restored the Catholic Church and got rid of that crazy calendar, among other things. But he remained ever ambitious. He was France's first consul, but he slept soundly at night dreaming of being something even bigger. Napoleon's expansionist aspirations, combined with the ongoing conflict in Europe, would eventually lead the continent into a huge conflict known today as
That was a good video. I learned some things. I didn't know all that about the French Revolution. I knew like the broad strokes that it led to, like it started, went bad, Reign of Terror, and then Napoleon, but there was a lot in there I didn't know. Jimmy's! When you have a whole series of wars named after you, yeah, Napoleon. Napoleon went ham. I think the craziest thing that I know about Napoleon is that every country in Europe allies up, finally beats him, takes him down. They're afraid of him, so they don't kill him. They exile him to an island. He escapes the island, sails back to France. The armies that are sent to capture him, he like gives a speech. They all turn sides. He gets the fucking army back, rides back into France, and becomes leader again. Then they have to ally up again and exile him again. Twitch will only pay out the Gamba? Fuck. How do I do a payout? Let me try it right now. Oh, I can pay it out. Can I? Or can't I? Does he beat the boss before 4:20 PT? That was 5 hours ago. Manage rewards? No, I can't do it. I can't pay it out. How? Where do I click? Submissions closed. Waiting for result. / prediction. Oh, choose outcome. Yep. Oh, now I know how to do this. I'm scamming every time. I would never bet down again. I would never bet down again, brother. I didn't know how to do this. I never knew how to do this. All right, big money. Big money, big money, big money. Big money for the believers. What else can we watch? 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 The Celeste vid. We're gonna watch probably one more video and then I'm good. I want to thank Factor yet again. Let me thank you to Factor Meals for sponsoring today's Get Smarter Saturday. Delicious, nutritious meals delivered to your door. Pog Atrioc 120 for $120 off. Let's see. Let's see what else we got. There is Operation Soda Steel. Seems kind of interesting. This is how the biggest bank heist ever was pulled off? Wait, this seems kind of sick. How long is this?
This video is brought to you by...
Wait, this seems kind of sick. Channel 5? There's a new Channel 5? I will watch Channel 5. I do like Channel 5 in general. Super Bowl Sunday? Alright, let's check it out.
This is where it's at. If you're not here, then you're f***ing nowhere. This is where it's happening, and we're gonna win the Super Bowl. And f***ing let's go Rams! Let's go Rams!
Alright, watch this, and then we'll watch Chick Hicks to close the night. This is the... I'm glad we got a nice Joker after today's Joker motivational quotes.
What are we talking about? Talk about whatever the f*** you want. I like beer.
For the love of y'all, what's become of hip-hop? I'm not giving up my spot, even though I know the apocalypse will never stop. We in exile, going hostile, buck wild Gentiles with styles, evil to a father like a pedophile to his child.
What?
Shalom. But yeah, this just took me a month to put
Excuse
together,
me?
and somebody that doesn't read the scriptures, this is all I can probably tell you. And
it says the earth is flat.
It is, yeah.
Thank you. Whose house?
Good, Ram.
Yeah, let's go.
Okay. I don't understand.
Wait, I'm sorry. I want to read his plan a little
It says
bit.
the earth is
somebody that
This is the ultimate pilgrimage of love.
doesn't read
And
the scriptures.
it's just Socorro, New Mexico, with a direct line over
This
to
is all-
Jerusalem. The Sabbath is not Sunday. The earth is flat, oceans are level. Wow, this is
I can
powerful. Write this
tell
down.
you, and
It says the earth is flat.
it is, yeah.
Thank you. Whose house?
Good, Ram.
Yeah, let's go.
Okay. I don't understand the game, but I can.
That's right.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Channel 5.
Angel Dump.
Birthday to you.
Hey, shout me out. First place on Instagram, bro. If you need your credit recovered, if you need business licensing, if you need loans, if you need anything, come tap in with me. I'll get you right. Like I said, I stand on business, baby. I get the money, I get to the bag. First place. You know what's going on. Shout it out. Back, zoom in on that. There we go, baby. We get to it.
I'm a ball player, man. I told the bitch put in my hand. Can get what? My hand reach farther than my dick, you know what I'm saying? Capital P, you know what's going on. What you going for today? Free bands. Free bands? What do you mean? I want some free bands. I want some free bands too, but what football team you going for? Whoever wins.
Look, bro, you got free bands. That's free bands.
Okay, that's the difference with free bands.
It is free bands. Free bands.
Whole squad got this
Whole
shit.
squad
Show
got
them
this
that shit,
shit.
Quando.
I don't know, whole squad
Show
got
them your
this shit.
wrist.
Hey, we got free bands. Free band. We run no slide. We on YouTube. Everybody give a fire rock. Everybody give a fire.
So, like 2 days ago, I got arrested by my ex-boyfriend because I was banging on his window because he got mad about me sleeping with some other guy. Either way, he got me arrested. I was handcuffed, and I was so sad, and I was so mad, but I still banged on his window multiple times. The guy that handcuffed me, he was super cute, and I was like, hey.
To sit in these seats for the Super Bowl, fans will have to show proof of vaccination or a negative test. And they'll be required to wear a mask inside and outside
no
the
shot.
stadium.
COVID this and COVID that. You smoke a joint and then you get 2 Big Macs, Fauci, and then you have a heart attack and they label it as COVID. Are you people losing your mind? Turn to Jesus Christ. You will not get right. I don't want that job. No, I don't want that job. You meant putting your mouth? No. By the power of Christ, I compel you. By the power of Christ, I compel you. You don't mock God with those weapons of the devil. No drunkards will inherit the kingdom of heaven. Fornicators.
Fuck him. No cap. Fuck all that shit, bro. LA, we'll knock y'all out. On my mama, bro. I'm buffered in this nigga. All that. LA, we stand on business. Give me 50,000, I'll knock him out right now. I don't give a fuck. We get to that money, baby. We send them out of here.
Wait, what?
Go back.
This guy is Scab? Is that who they used to work for? Didn't Channel 5 used to work for, and then they had to change their name. Oh my God, it's a Scab, dude. It's a fake all gas, no brakes.
All that. LA, we stand on business. Give me 50,000, I'll knock him out right now. I don't give a fuck. We get to that money, baby. We send them out of here. Get back on the bus. Go back to your mama. We don't give a fuck.
It's Saddam. We are right here. We're at the Super Bowl, Inglewood. Saddam, Super Bowl Sunday. Let's go.
My mama always told me about that wall. And I say, okay, ma, I just gon' put my feet in. I'm sorry, ma, I got right in that wall. I ain't never noticed I was going.
Which one of you, chat? Which one of you? It's one of you. Who? It can't be all of you. No, it can't be all of you. It's got to be one of you.
No, we know Big Bog. We know Big Bog over here.
I'm out here grinding, you know what I'm saying? I got the packs right here. I got the Super Bowl mixtapes out here.
Mm-hmm.
Straight from Hollowell, Sugar Hill, baby, you know? I've been spitting bars since I started talking to you. They call me Super Optimus Prime. Every word is a rhyme, you heard?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they got eyes but can't see. They got a mind but can't think. And ears but they can't hear. Do the right thing. Love you, bro. Stay.
I'm rapping fly, one hell of a guy. My favorite black guy from Channel 5. Shout out to Drop Dad.
Hey, what are you selling? What are you selling?
Modelos. I'm selling pre-rolls. I'm selling everything. I'm selling tickets. I sell fucking air, water, merchandise. I got bags of shit.
Cash App, the best way to pay for Modelo's, air, water,
Factor.
all types of bags of shit. I don't know if you know this, but Cash App isn't just a peer-to-peer money sending service. You can actually use it to invest in stocks and cryptocurrency.
That's crazy.
That's crazy because I would rather use public.com to be honest.
I'm Patrick from Germany. Unluckily me, it wasn't possible for me to get into the Super Bowl. This was my target, but unfortunately I didn't have the tickets. And so the cops are saying no access for German guys, especially in this Super Bowl time. And
That's sad. You came from Germany and he thought he could just sneak in. He thought he could just fucking make it happen. It's the Super Bowl, dude. He thought it was good.
And we'll now go to Santa Barbara or something like that and have some good time at the pier.
Okay, you're not gonna watch the game?
I think it's finished when I will stay. We'll join a bar.
Okay, why don't you just go to LA bar?
Is there any place? I didn't Google for it.
There's no. You gotta be a bar in LA.
You can probably go downtown, hit some sports bar or something like that.
Yeah, for sure. Perhaps this is a good idea. Yeah.
Yeah, make some new friends. I think maybe you should try to sneak in.
Sorry?
You should try to sneak in.
Sneaky?
Yeah.
What's a sneaky?
Like when you jump over the fence.
Did you saw the cops with their guns?
Hey, you think American police will shoot you?
No, unfortunately I will not go for this. Yeah, guys, I wish you a really nice staying here in front of the stadium.
I like this guy.
I can join the bar.
I don't get what his plan was. He didn't have tickets. He didn't want to sneak in. Did he just thought they'd let a German guy in? Is that what was his plan? I don't get it. He flew here. He bought a plane ticket. He seems like a really nice guy, but
Super Bowl Sunday, we all here. We're getting wasted. Bengals and the Rams, the police. They won't let me in. I told them I was Tom Brady's cousin. And they just didn't care.
That's crazy.
I guess they done lost respect for Tom Brady.
I guess so.
I'm with the Feds for Medical Freedom, and what we're all trying to do is to defeat these mandates to restore liberty, and our case is going right against the heart of the Executive Order 14043, and we are winning today.
All right.
Fuck your mandates!
Yeah.
So it means F Joe Biden.
All right.
You know about the crack pipes, right?
Yeah. What do you think about that?
Seriously?
It's always been the government putting the drugs into the communities, right? And now they're out and open with it. They're not even trying to hide it any longer.
The Biden administration allocating
Maybe he's just a big fan, you know? Maybe he's a big fan of a certain marketing manager named Brandon who's out here doing a lot of work, you know, for the people.
$1 million to distribute crack pipes to drug addicts, claiming that it will help curb infections.
Well, it's hurting the white community too because it's not just crack, but it's also meth that they're pushing.
I mean, I guess they can tell you they love you, but if they're encouraging you to smoke more crack, maybe they're lying.
But they're not.
The Biden administration is just providing grants to people who, to cities, to towns, to organizations. One of those is providing safe smoking kits and supplies. It's basically like a clean needle program.
I'm not saying we should be giving out crack pipes per se. The thing of it is people are going to do heroin or crack whether we like it or not. So,
I mean, there are already programs in place to help people get off of the drugs. Say no to it altogether.
Overall, I think it's a good idea, but it's somewhat of a low priority. I think there's a lot of issues in the world right now, and that is not the biggest one.
Just say no.
Incomplete. It looked like P-Ron might have had a shot, but the Rams were built to win the Super Bowl.
God, I was so mad, dude. I was so mad because I bet on the fucking, I bet on the Rams, but they didn't cover the point spread. They only won by 3, so I owed Ludwig $500. Fuck!
Hey, what's up, y'all? We're downtown LA right now. The Rams just won the Super Bowl. We're about to go up. We're about to go see what's popping.
Jesus. Oh shit.
Oh my God.
Hey, yo, that game was lit as fuck, though.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, sir.
I want to send a shout out to Chicago, little Jojo. Stop the killing! Stop the killing! Hey, no! Little Jojo! Little Jojo! Little Jojo! I love Chicago! Little Jojo! Stop the killing in Chicago! This street in Chicago! Por favor, with a heart! No more killings in Chicago!
No more! In Chicago!
I'm not circumcised! Fuck Russia! Fuck the USSR! Long live Ukraine!
This is the first Rams game I've watched in my life.
Do you feel like this is like the normal reaction towards sports in America?
Oh, yeah, off top.
Do you think it's warranted?
I don't really care. You know what I mean? Just let people have fun. You know what I mean?
I see. But just a few seconds ago, we almost nearly died with some fireworks.
I wouldn't have killed this.
It's worth it?
Yeah.
It's worth it.
It's worth it.
Do you feel like people should be this passionate about climate change?
About what?
About climate change?
About climate change? Oh, yeah.
Kind of killing the vibe, man. You're kind of killing the mood, you know. Everyone's trying to party. It's after a big game. It's a Super Bowl. LA just won. I'm not saying I'm not also passionate about climate change here. I just think you're it's kind of cranky, yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Fuck around, pussy! Hey, man, honestly, my homie Pat.
I just can't imagine that guy, the obscenity screaming drunk guy, is gonna get. You know, it's not like you're gonna convince him a deep, poignant point on climate change. I just think it's not. The environment's not there.
Passed away. He was a Rams fan. By all means, I want the Rams to win. Hey, you beat the Niners. You beat all that shit. Fuck all that. Rams all.
So drunk.
Let me talk my shit. Let me talk my shit. Hey.
All right, dude.
Just want to let y'all know, Cooper Cup, bitch. Cooper Cup, bitch. That's all I gotta say. Rams running this shit. Rams running this shit.
All right. I just moved here to LA. What a welcome, man. Yeah, right? What a welcome. Seriously, wow. I live in Burbank now, but I came from North Carolina. It's such a big change, but I love it. I heard about the Lakers and all that, but like, this is unreal experience. What a welcome.
This guy's such a dork, but he's nice. He's such a dork. Yeah, this guy's literally bat chest. It's literally the human embodiment of bat chest. He's totally nice. Like, I'm not. I just.
Stop, bro. Relax. Hey, come on. Hey. LA all day, bro. I'm black. I'm Mexican, Chinese, every culture.
Why is everyone behind him cheering no matter what he says?
We ain't racist. We ain't fucking racist. Can I send a shout out?
Yeah, shout out.
Shout out to Chicago, Little Jojo.
You already did this. Stop all the killing. I know.
Yeah, Moneybag Mo.
Who's that?
Me. I'm in the streets, I gotta let it go. I'm gonna tell you right now, one and only that. I'm gonna run it right back in fact like that. I sit on my stacks, I'm 5'8" in fact. Let me tell you right now, going up in fact. I'm about to be on the charts next time in fact. I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm in LA in fact. I'm finna go to Tennessee next and then you know what that. But Texas, you can see it everywhere at that. I'm telling you, I'm flying high everywhere in fact.
It can't end every rhyme with that. I mean, it does technically rhyme. Well, you can't say and that at the end. She's next up for real. Oh man.
Gotta do this for my daddy. What you know about that? I'm being in Lambo. What you know about that? I'm gonna be everywhere. My name on every sign. In fact, just know I'm starting LA like that. Hey, this ain't no news.
Just trying to find news.
Oh God.
Didn't she steal all those bitcoins? That's a callback. All right, boys, I got to go, but I keep my promises. We have one final video to watch. Some say perhaps the most important video ever put onto YouTube. A video that will surprise you, delight you, inspire you, but most importantly, change your life in ways you may not even expect. You see, Pixar's long-running Cars franchise has a character so important that you'd be doing yourself a disservice by not learning more about them. That's why I am so excited to go to Ned Wheeler's channel, sort by most popular, and find the complete history of Chick Hicks. An 871,000 view video. Bigger than almost every video I've ever done about Chick Hicks. Cars Explained.